Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Chasing Meet Cutes podcast. I'm your host, Nicole.
And I'm your host, Trisha. Today, we are throwing a little bonus episode your way. We are going to talk about Netflix's brand new series called Ransom Canyon that just dropped April 17th. And so we had to talk about it.
Yeah, we had to watch it.
We had to watch it.
Immediately. And we have to talk about it.
So if you haven't seen it, the best way to describe it would be a blend of like Virgin River-esque, like,
yeah,
with Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Like
a little drama as far as like ranch ownership and people coming after the land or trying to develop the land. Like, that's more of a Yellowstone vibe.
Right.
But it's like still small town, like Virgin River.
Right. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
There's some romance drama. There's some love triangles. There's different things like that. So right off the bat, we meet Staten, who is a widowed rancher, and Quinn, who is a friend of his, like he grew up with, going to high school with, and all that.
And his ex-wife.
And
not ex.
His late wife.
Yeah, his late wife.
Who had just recently passed, and his son. And we see this whole scene play out where it's the son's birthday party, and the uncle like gives him a car, and the dad's like, you got to give it back, like you're not keeping this, and they get in a fight.
Yeah.
And the son drives off. He's upset. He's like, I hate you. I wish it would have been you that died, which is awful.
Yeah.
And heartbreaking. But you can tell he's a teenager in the heat of a moment.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And it's one of those things, like, he knew his son just had to, like, go cool off. So he goes to bed and wakes up to, like, the phone call no parent ever wants to get from the sheriff's department saying there's been an accident and his son passed away.
Yeah.
Flash forward a year. We see the town has just continued on with life, obviously, since the passing of his son. There's a football game going on. He's there with his friend Quinn, and he sees a banner of his son, like the little memorial.
Like in memory of.
Yeah, and it just triggers him, and he's like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Like, thought I could do this and be here, but turns out I can't. And so we kind of see this dynamic between him and Quinn right off the bat, and we don't really know like what their dynamic is.
Yeah.
They clearly have a past of some sort, whether that's just friendship or a prior relationship or feelings. I don't know. We didn't really get to know that in the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically just like, I mean, you can tell they're friends, and like obviously she was friends with his wife, so like there's that aspect of it where
she knows
she's can be there in support for him after her passing, and of course their son.
Yeah. And we come to find out too that Quinn obviously had been in love with Staten, played by Josh Duhamel.
Yeah.
And Quinn is played by Minka Kelly, so obviously it's very fitting for her to be back in the small town, football heavy Texas town, you know, just from her Friday Night Lights days. But she definitely was in love with him, and so when Staten and her friend ended up getting married, she had to like move. She went to New York. She was a musician, and when she found out her friend had cancer, she came back to like help take care of her and be with her. And she shares at some point later in the show that before the friend passed, she said, take care of my boys.
Yeah.
And so she kind of feels like she has that duty to be there. Yeah, the obligation to just make sure that they're both okay. And then, of course, with the son's passing, she feels even more obligated to make sure Staten's okay. Which, for the longest time, we thought his name was Stan.
I know. The way she would say it, sometimes it sounded like Stan.
It did.
She was like saying it really fast or
Stan.
something. Yeah, I don't know.
And then we looked it up, like we just like looked up the cast, and I'm like, his name's Staten. Okay.
Too funny.
So I think we should just talk about them as a couple and them specifically, they're kind of all over the place throughout the entire series.
Totally.
And then we can break down the other couples. We're not going to do like a review of the show or the drama. There's tons of drama, tons of twists and turns and whodunit type things.
Yeah. I mean, if there's like a season 2, we'll do a deep dive, obviously.
Yeah, we can do a deep dive. But we just wanted to do a quick little like, hey, this came out.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, you shouldn't be listening to this episode. But
yeah.
I do think it's a good watch. Like, it was full of drama. That's where I feel like it's a little bit more of a drama than Virgin River.
Yeah.
I mean, Virgin River has
a lot of
its drama, but it's almost just like that, you know, I've already said it. It's just so, if it can go wrong, it will. And it probably already has in Virgin River. This is different. It's very much more of a niche situation, like family-specific drama. And,
for sure.
like you were saying, all the land and politics of it all.
Yeah.
So definitely watch it. It's a great show. But there is some romance. So
so we have, obviously, we are mentioning Quinn and Staten right off the bat. And it's like through the whole time, like the whole series is like just this like push and pull with them. And it's mostly on Staten's part because he just like cannot communicate at all. Like, it's so frustrating that he cannot put into words any feeling whatsoever. It doesn't have to be a romantic, like, he just doesn't know how to communicate.
And you can tell the guy's shut down. Like, he's probably like that anyway. But then you layer in the grief and all of the grief that he's experiencing.
Yeah. And of course, like, through the series, we see him make these small discoveries about his son's accident, so he's really focused on that and like trying to figure out like and more of what happened.
Ranch is kind of like going downhill, like
like the cow situation or the cattle situation and whatever. But this whole time is like, okay, Quinn is like obviously into you,
and
obviously
at some points actually comes out and
says it. And he just, like, cannot reciprocate in any way. It's so frustrating to see.
And then he wants to turn around and be like, how can you not see? Like, I'm like, bro.
Right.
You had your chance.
Exactly.
And you chose to walk away.
Multiple times.
Until she really decides to be with his former brother-in-law.
Right.
Like, I think that's really what, like, clicked for him to be like, oh, heck no, I can't. I can't.
But even still, his communication doesn't improve much. Only some. And it's like, bro.
But here's the thing.
If you want her, like, you're going to have to use your words and, like, go get her.
And when he does use his words and it's like this negative, cryptic, like, no, it didn't mean, you mean nothing to me. No, that's not what it was. Like, whatever he's saying, like, you don't want me, I'm so bad, I'm blah, blah, blah. He's still showing up at her house and, like, fixing her tractor, mending the fence that she didn't, like, you're really making it confusing for her. Like, you're really dragging her through the mud.
Yes. Because it's like, okay, we see those little acts of kindness, which are, like, so great, and everybody wants that.
Your actions are not matching up with your words.
It's like, yeah, we all want that.
Right.
But, like, then you're telling her, like, oh, well, this is nothing. Like, it's, you know, it doesn't mean anything.
It's almost like it's making, and I don't think this was his intention. It's because he has this lack of communication or whatever, and awareness, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's almost like she's being made to feel like crazy.
Yes.
Like, the way she's feeling about him is simply because of the things he's showing her and the way he's showing up for her. That's where her feelings are growing. And then he just wants to be like, no, what are you talking about? You crazy? I don't have feeling. What do you mean?
Even though that's like a friggin' bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's a lot of that. It's a very slow burn.
Yes, so very, very.
That, to me, I was like, if you don't freaking talk to her.
Yeah. Ugh, so frustrating.
Yes, but I think, you know, they had a couple cute moments before the storm episode, but for me, the storm, like the tornado came through the town, and he happened to find her dog that had run off. And Biscuit, you little Biscuit. He ends up staying with her to, like, help her make sure her house and everything is taken care of, and realize, like, you don't even have batteries or like you don't even know where the batteries are. Mm-hmm. So they end up getting like stuck in the basement for a while the storm passes, and like they finally have their moment, even though at this point she's in a relationship with Davis, the brother-in-law. Yeah. Who she should have never oh my gosh, entered into, but nonetheless she was with him.
Yeah, totally.
She was stepping out on him, but he was also stepping out on her, so
yeah.
It just was a disaster.
Yeah, but, and like the storm thing was like, okay, they're down in the basement and like they're lighting all these candles and it's like totally setting the mood and the atmosphere, and
she's scared.
She's scared and wants to just be in his arms. Like, yeah, same, girl.
Right? Dude, can we just take a moment of silence for Josh Duhamel? Like, the difference. We just watched Safe Haven.
Yeah.
Okay? The difference in character and build. And just, I mean, obviously, that movie was over a decade ago. Yeah. So, he just obviously has aged, but he's
one of those
silence, I guess.
Like, he's one of those like the Patrick Dempsey, like aging so
like
nicely.
A fine wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they basically have this moment, and they continue to have these moments afterwards behind Davis's back, and she's like, I know, I want to tell him, but like, let me do it in my own way. And he's like, okay. And it gets to the point too where he's like, you got to tell him.
Yeah. Well, and she does. Like, she needs to tell him.
She does. She has
like,
to.
Okay, like, you want to do it in your own way, but like, okay, but that needs to be like today.
Right. Yeah. How you do it, I don't care, but just do it.
Yeah.
Which she does, and they, eventually, the way the show ends, well, I shouldn't say that. We see that they do end up together, and they are there for each other. Like somebody had passed towards the end of the season, and so they were there together at the funeral. It's kind of like their first coming out together moment. And Davis, the ex, sees this and is just kind of like, of course they're together, whatever. And then we see towards the end they get into this little bickering fight because she has been contemplating going back and forth and having her mentor come and visit her, Ellis Gray.
And she's just Ellis Gray in this show too. It's so funny.
100%. If you're like, what are you guys talking about? The mentor is played by a woman who also played Ellis Gray in Grey's Anatomy.
Like Meredith's mom.
Yeah. And so she's Ellis Gray.
Yeah.
But she has this chance, Quinn has this chance to audition to be in the Philharmonic for like a cycle or a season for like 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
And she's just like, no, I can't do that. That was in the past. Like, I'm here now. I'm letting that part of my life go. And the mentor's like, you're brilliant.
Yeah, like nobody else has your talent. Like,
you missed the audition. I'm bringing the audition to you.
Yeah.
And we ain't doing this for anybody else.
Exactly.
And she can play beautifully. And so she's kind of gone back and forth with, does she want to, does she not? And she comes to the deciding factor, like, okay, she's going to go. And she just randomly drops this into Statton's lap and was like, so I think I'm going to go to New York. And he's like, wait, what?
Yeah. He's like, you're joking. Like, after the night we just had, or whatever it was.
Yeah, and not to mention the months and months and months of the back and forth, will they, won't they?
Yeah.
They finally decide we will, and you're just
going to drop me? Like,
and he's not the kind of guy that's like, I can go with you for 6 months. Like, he's running a ranch. He's got to be there, and it's also in trouble. So he can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But the way that it was, like, communicated to him, I think he felt like, I'm going to go, we're done.
Right.
Like, it wasn't like, I'm going to go, but we're going to communicate.
Yeah. I can come back on the week. Like, whenever I have, like, an off day.
Yeah, and if I can't, it's 6 months, and, like, I'll be right back here. I'll move in. I'm selling my whatever. You can plant flowers for me and on your property. Like, life's going to be great in the long term. But, like, the opportunity to play with the Philharmonic Orchestra is obviously second to none. Like, if you can, you should.
Right.
So I get that.
It should have been.
As a viewer, I was like, don't you dare.
Yeah.
You just made us endure the slowest burn ever for this. So now they're in a tiff.
Yep.
And they argue. And we don't know if they're together or not.
Yeah, because was that, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing when they were at Gracie's, the dance hall, and like the bracelet situation.
Yes.
Well, that was that like at the end.
Because at some point she put a bracelet on him. They each had this little like,
it was
rope.
like a twine, just a twine
little
bracelet.
Piece of twine from the barn or something.
From her little lavender soaps.
Yeah. And so she goes over to see him where he was sitting.
Yeah, because they're just like looking at each other across the dance hall. And then she walks over.
Nothing's left but that
and
dang
he's gone.
Piece of twine.
He left the bar. And all she sees on the bar is that piece of twine. And it's like, okay, to me, that means like we're done.
We're done.
Because we both had these on.
But then it's like freaking, it's Staten. He is
I don't know
a
why
hothead.
he did that. Why did he do that?
Because he's stupid. But you gotta like empathize with him or have sympathy for him because.
For sure.
Or like, okay, you do empathize because you know he's grieving and you know that like, sure, even if he has these lack of communication tendencies, it's obviously extra right now.
Right.
Life is heightened for him. So you want to give him a little grace.
Yeah.
And also you want to give grace because it's Josh Duhamel and you want that to happen.
Yeah.
But it was frustrating the way that their little relationship ended.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the high school couple, Lucas and Lauren.
Okay.
I thought they were cute.
They were cute.
Sorry.
Well,
I thought I was touching your toe, but it was the.
You think I would have not reacted?
Well, that's where I was like, sorry. Like it wasn't like I lingered. It was just the leg of our coffee table, guys. So don't get any ideas. Anyway, Lucas and Lauren.
What? It's just funny.
Anyways, okay, so Lauren is like cheerleader girl. Her dad's the sheriff. She's dating the son of the rich guy, Davis, and the son is like the biggest, like, he's obnoxious.
He is.
Insufferable.
Yeah.
Really. Don't even ask me. I don't even remember his name at this moment.
Me neither. Isn't it like Will or something like that? No, I think I made that up.
I don't know. I think you may have, but that's okay.
That
but Lauren, she's kind of this like rich girl. She's got some family drama. Her mom has some addiction problems and is always like leaving and then coming back and then leaving. And she doesn't want to get stuck here in this small town like her mom did. And so she's very adamant about going to UT and cheering for them, getting a scholarship so she can do that and then like go on with her life after college. And Lucas is kind of this like good guy but from the wrong side of the tracks kind of thing.
Yeah, like he had like a hard upbringing.
Very hard. His dad is MIA. He's being raised by his troublemaker brother.
Yeah.
But
he's brilliant.
Like he's received multiple letters of interest from
like all the
every
Ivy
League school. So, and he's just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll do. Like, so yeah, they have this secret relationship going on because again, it's like the forbidden love trope where she's the good girl, ritzy all together.
Right.
He's not bad boy, but
he's
like
not.
He's not a bad boy at all.
His dad,
so sweet.
Or Lauren's dad is like, no, you're definitely not dating
They
that
definitely
boy.
have a reputation in the town, like, oh, the Blank brothers, whatever their last names are. Like, you got to stay away from them.
Right.
They're trouble. But they are just like finding all these like secret moments to be together and talk together, and they have these plans like, okay, we're gonna go to college together, and so you really just see it's a lot of the same like throughout the series, and it's cute. It's this like tension of like, will she just kind of be, he's like fine with having to be the secret thing, but at some point he's kind of like, at what point like we can't be a secret couple forever,
like this is ridiculous.
And also he's a good kid, and he doesn't want, like, he knows that like she's kind of leading this other kid on,
right,
to kind of keep up the appearances that she's still with him when in reality she's with Lucas, and he's like, I don't want that. You're gonna have to tell him.
Same thing as like with Quinn and Davis. It's like, all right, you're gonna have to break it to him so that there's no gray area, there's no questioning of like, are we or aren't we,
right?
Like, it needs to be set in stone,
right? Definitely. But they definitely have lots of cute moments. Like, he's very supportive of her and her cheerleading aspirations, which is cute, and going to UT. So like, she, like, that's her only plan essentially, and so she's very like focused on going to these cheer clinics and making sure all the all the scouts are watching her. And he's supportive of that, and she finds all these letters from all the Ivy Leagues and is like, you got to go to Yale, right? Like, and he's like, I don't know, like, I think I'm gonna go to UT.
Just go to UT.
And she's like, are you sure? And then he's like, yeah, because like I want to be with you, and it's us together, right? Like, they're gonna get out of this place together, and they're gonna create this big life outside of Ransom Canyon together. And it's cute.
I think that's cute too, that he's like not in any big hurry to go to an Ivy League just to go to an Ivy League.
100%. Way more expensive.
And
we do see like her dad finally comes around at the end. Again, you guys watch the show, you'll see all the drama that leads up to that and the back and forth, but he eventually sees that this Lucas guy is a good kid. And he's like, okay, you guys have my blessing to be together. And that's how the series ends between them. They're good. They're together.
We like it.
There was, okay, so in that, the episode with the storm was very, not iconic, but it was a very
like pivotal
episode. The catalyst for a lot of things that went wrong or right for people. And for Lauren, you know, she ends up being stuck at Lucas's trailer trying to find Lucas, but Lucas was somewhere else
trying to find her.
Right. So she ends up there with his brother, who's been kind of a jerk the entire time, like this mysterious, we don't really know much about him. And he turns out like he's a decent guy. Like, she gets hurt and he helps take care of her, and they have this opportunity to kind of talk and get to know each other. And he's kind of like, okay, she's cool, and she's kind of like, okay, he's cool. And we don't really know like why he's so standoffish about her until we do know that it's because he's been having an affair with her mom. So I'm sure we'll see more of that in season 2, because that was really only kind of like revealed towards the end. Because that plays into the whole like major storyline of like the accident and how Statton's son died and all that. But yeah, that's going to be a big thing for Lauren and Lucas to kind of come to terms with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because Lucas doesn't know anything yet.
No.
And like, yeah, because Lauren only knows about her mom's involvement in the accident, not with the brother, though.
Right. Yeah. So that will be like definitely something that comes back up. But let's talk about Yancey and Ellie.
Gray and Ellie.
Yancey Gray, the troublemaker and the quiet hero. Ellie.
Yeah, Ellie. Yancey was like, I mean, we find out who he was, but he just like kind of came out of nowhere at the beginning.
Yeah, he was literally walking into town.
Yeah, which is like an odd thing when you live in such a small town, and it's like, okay, you're new, like, what are you doing here?
Like the sheriff literally rolls up like, hey, where are you headed?
Yeah.
Like, tell me, because I know everybody.
Right.
You're not going to pull a fast one on me.
Yeah. Like, you're just traveling through, right? Not like. Anyway, he ends up staying because we find out he's, what's his name? Cap's grandson. And of course, there's the whole thing we mentioned, the drama with the land and the ranches and all that.
Yeah.
Which we don't have to get into, but.
He has this like criminal past that he's trying to keep hidden. And he's really kind of being blackmailed because he was able to get out of prison if he agreed to do such and such in this ranch situation for money.
He needed to acquire Cap's land.
Right. So he decides he's just going to become a ranch hand on Cap's ranch as like a stranger.
Yeah.
And so Cap hires him. He sleeps in the barn. Like, that's his area. Right away, he meets Ellie, who's close friends with Cap because her dad was friends with him.
Yeah.
And they kind of have this, like, chemistry right away.
Yeah.
And it kind of is some banter back and forth for a while until it's not, you know.
She's definitely very cute. He's, like, super built, fit, muscular.
Yeah. They look good together.
Yeah.
They have the most chemistry that we've seen. They had some very spicy scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of flirty banter, like even before they were together. It was very flirty. Their relationship started off flirty.
Yeah.
But really, like, some of the best tension building moments come from their playful digs.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I just really like their like whole storyline of how they like kind of overcame some things. And
and she, you know, kind of finds out about his criminal past, and like
she pulls the best out of him. Really, she kind of gives him like the necessary ultimatum to be like, if this is gonna be a thing, like, you got to be honest.
Yeah.
And you got to tell me everything.
Yeah.
He does.
We kind of compared it to like a Bree and Brady situation in Virgin River. Like, kind of similar.
Yeah, like he was forced into being the bad boy kind of thing at some point.
Right. And it's like, while he does have this criminal past, like, he's seeing the charm of this small town and like how the community is, and he like really has this moment of like, I don't want to be that. Like, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to take this land.
Deciding factor.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to take this land from underneath this old man, like, to help you snakes,
right?
Acquire it for whatever the crap you guys want to do.
Just more money, ultimately.
Yeah.
So we see they get to a point towards the end where he's like, "Marry me."
Yeah.
They have their little banter back and forth. She's kind of like, we'll see.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I already hired a priest, and we're getting married here. And I'm keeping the farm or the ranch. And she's like, happy about that, whatever. And then she gets a call at the end, or someone shows up, or what. I forget if it was a call or what, but someone's like, oh, I'm so-and-so. And she's like, who that? And she's like, I'm Nancy's wife.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like,
she shows up.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, we're like, oh, crap.
Right after she was like, you better have told me everything. And he's like, you know everything there is to know about me.
Yeah.
You gonna make a statement like that? Yeah. And then come to find out you have a secret wife you didn't tell me about? Like, you actually didn't tell me everything. So, like,
yeah, and that's a big thing.
You didn't just forget.
No.
So, we don't know what's gonna happen there. All we see is Yancey got stood up at his little wedding.
Yeah.
And we don't know
what's going to happen with them.
But I really do like them together. Like, I want them to work.
Yeah, me too.
They look good together. I think they're very compatible, I guess, in their personalities. Like, she's more of a spitfire, and he's kind of like,
yeah. And I like just like their shared relationship to Cap, and how she was very close to him while Yancey didn't really know him growing up. Right. He didn't know him until he came to Ransom Canyon. So I think that's kind of sweet too.
Yeah, definitely. The last couple we need to talk about is freaking Davis. Okay. Let's just talk about Davis as an individual for a sec.
Davis as Davis.
He's a rat.
He is.
First of all, the very first time we see him is at Statton's son's birthday party, which would be Davis's nephew.
Yeah.
And we realized that the mom had passed, which is Davis's sister. And so naturally he loves his nephew and wants to like do right by him. But it's like he's obsessed with the nephew.
Right.
Even like his own son
his own son is like basically the black sheep.
Right.
Like,
he's just like clearly when the nephew or when Statton's son was alive, I can't think of his name. He was definitely living in his shadow. Mm-hmm. And so
I think it was like Randall or something.
Like that. Randall. Mm-hmm. So it was just weird from the beginning. I'm like,
yeah,
his dad didn't die, so like, why are you buying him a car?
Right. It is very odd.
It was just,
and like you basically can't stand your own son. Like your own son, you just think is like the biggest disappointment for whatever reason. We don't even really know.
Right. So weird and like annoying right off the bat, and then just progressively gets more annoying because we realize he's a snake and is working these deals behind the scenes with Yancey at first, and then his ex-wife and this like water and electric company. He's just a sleazeball. Yeah. Okay. He doesn't like Statton.
Nope.
They have major beef. His family and Statton's family have historical beef.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of this like, we're never going to get along. We're always going to be enemies. And so he's just horrible.
He is.
The whole thing. And Statton knows it. Right. And so when Davis goes after Quinn to like ask her out and she eventually says yes and they start to date.
Yeah.
It's so cringy. Woof. And it's not only, I think Statton's like, okay, not only am I jealous because I love you. Yeah. But you also like don't want to be with him because he's a horrible person.
Yeah, he's just a bad guy. Like,
and Quinn's kind of like, when are you gonna stop? Like, he's a good guy. You don't know, like he has debt. Okay,
like that doesn't mean you get to like be a snake and try to like.
You don't get to cheat your way out of the debt either.
Right.
If
like
you have it,
you don't get to just like try and get everybody. Or con everybody really into selling their land so that you can get out of whatever debt it is.
Yeah. Lots of crazy drama.
And because his ex-wife, Paula Jo, comes into town too to also get in people's ears about the water and electric
They're definitely
company.
In cahoots.
And they get Quinn to sign in on this with her land. And it's like, bro.
Yeah.
And of course, Quinn just like is too naive to realize what's going on, and she thinks like it's in her best interest,
right?
Which of course they're going to make it seem like that, but it's like you got to be able to have discernment and see beyond that.
Things,
which Statton is able to do, no problem,
100%, and so is Cap.
Yeah.
But yeah, Quinn and Davis together, it was just like, ew, gross.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see you guys together, and we got so much more of them at points that I'm just like, I cannot stand to see them together one more second.
Yeah.
When we're only getting these like moments of tension between her and Statton.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, if he was like a good guy, say, it's like, okay, the way he like pursued Quinn was cute.
Sure.
But we know he's not a good guy, so it's like
and
annoying.
He ugly.
Exactly.
Okay, he's not horribly ugly, but his personality makes him 10 times uglier.
Exactly.
And that freaking vest, he needs to take that thing off, okay? All the other people, they're believable.
Right.
You can't be wearing that. No. I'm sorry.
That vest was...
No.
What was that?
I don't know, but he shouldn't have been wearing it.
No, he shouldn't have been.
And it's like, he's a rancher wannabe.
Yeah.
He gets on a horse, I'm like...
Yeah, he don't know what he's doing. That ain't real. Yeah.
But anyways, needless to say... Hate Davis's character.
Hate Davis. And we learned that he's had like a couple wives.
He's had a wife that he cheated on with his secretary or something. Yeah. And got with the secretary and then cheated on her with some other snooty tootie. Right. So it's like, Quinn, what do you think?
Right. Like you think happen? Like he's not like that's just
because guess what? He did sleep with Paula Jo, his ex-wife.
Exactly.
Behind your back and never told you about it.
Right. Probably more than once. And I think he at least planned to the one time she walked into the house when Quinn was in the shower. Paula Jo's naked.
Yeah.
Opens the shower door to see Quinn, obviously naked. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, what were you planning to do if Davis was here?
No, we didn't talk about
what?
Paula Jo and Staten.
Oh, yeah.
That was a disappointment.
That really was.
Staten had a low point. Okay, yeah. He basically confesses his love for Quinn.
Finally.
And she's like, you're too late. Mm-hmm. I'm with Davis. And he's obviously upset.
Right.
And so instead of just going home and being upset, he goes and sleeps with Paula Jo in the car.
Like right then.
Staten.
Yeah, that was so annoying.
That was a low moment.
Very, very low. Yeah, because then Paula Jo shoves it in Quinn's face basically the next day and is like, oh, he's very good in bed or something along those lines.
So stupid.
Annoying.
So stupid. You know what's been the main complicated factor in all of these things? Sex.
Yeah.
And communication. So,
but yeah,
you know,
it complicates things.
It do. But that's a little recap of Ransom Canyon and the on-screen romance we see. Overall, it's a great show. Mm-hmm. They better do a season 2 because they have to. They left too many things. Yeah. Unresolved. So
watch it so they see that there's interest.
Exactly. So, I love Josh Duhamel. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna watch whatever he's in.
Yeah, and Minka Kelly's great.
Love Minka Kelly. She looks so great for her age
too.
Really we were like, dang, she's 44 or whatever.
I know. I was like, literally, I'm like, wait, how old was she in Friday Night Lights?
Yeah,
she
did look so 17 young. In that, but she was really, what do we say, 26?
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, crushing it, girl.
She is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little bonus episode, and we will catch you guys in the next one.
See ya.